Howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. Another day in which I continue to talk and emote with my hands. Thumbs up. I have some things written down on my list over here, which reminds me, somebody in comments said that I ramble and ramble on too much. The point of my vlogging has always been to ramble, to get the stuff out that's inside of here out so that it doesn't fester and go bad. Because there's a lot of stuff that I have managed to find a wound, pierce it, and then drain it so that it heals. And that's the purpose of the vlogging at all, is the rambling, the going from topic to topic. If I have something deep and heavy to talk about, I'll do that. If I have stuff that's light and fluffy, I'll do that. That's the point and the purpose. So anybody at all that watches me vlog, I'm just, remember, a 61-year-old white guy who don't know nothing. But I have been vlogging my journey back from grief after the death of my wife in 2014. So thank you for anybody who has come along with me on my journey. It is appreciated to no end. Even the people that have nothing but criticism. That's fine too. Thumbs up, thank you, as long as they're not abusive. But let me turn my own fan off. I just suddenly realized it was blaring on high. My apologies. Hokey smokes, should I re-record this? I probably should, but there's so much noise going on outside anyway. Yay, so if you've watched through the fan, thank you. The other stuff I've got written here is somebody in comments who keeps changing their name, so I'm not going to identify their name by name because who knows how long that name will last, said they can't believe that I'm still going on with rice, that I love rice so much, even now. My rice journey has only begun. It's not stopped. There's something else going on that's a part of this. So maybe I'm dying, who knows. But my sense of smell all my life has been at about 25% capacity. Once I stopped being an active alcoholic, it started drifting up to about 50%. And then through the years, there have been spikes upward. And then in the last couple years, and especially this last couple months, it has really risen up, and I am smelling things I have never smelled before. Even in the last 10 years. I was walking home from our local Walmart, and suddenly I smelled the local trees. I could just smell the trees. Not blossoms, just the trees, you know, what their sap smells like, what their bark smells like, all this in one big wash, and it was beautiful. I had never smelled that before. And then after a little while, I lost that. Probably because I'd been smelling it for so much at that time. But things like that are happening that, as stated, for the past like 10 years since I've really been walking, because while I was married, I didn't go out walking. I was terrified to go anywhere because I had literally and honestly about 25 times during during my entire marriage with my wife, been moments where if I had not instantly figured out what was happening and made the right decision, she would have died. Started in the hospital where noticed a symptom, called for help immediately, they came in, and if I hadn't, she wouldn't have been there. And that kept happening. So I was terrified of leaving her on her own. And I was always justified in that, because there were so many times, even so close to the end, where if I had not been there, and if I had not immediately made the right decision, it would have been over. So I never went walkies before. I stayed in the house next to her to make sure that I was there. I've been going walkies since she died. I have been smelling more since then, but it's only been in the last 6 months that I have really been smelling a whole lot more. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I do like that part. Which, again, it did suck when my wife died. I mean, most people in the United States die in the hospital, but my wife, we have a whole bunch of very, very good hospitals in Seattle. We went to Seattle where she had an appointment to talk to them about the possibilities of transplant. When they saw her, when we went in for her appointment, they went, "We need to check you in." And she was immediately checked in. When she came out on hospice. And that was when the worst of it was, because she had been holding things together as best she could until that appointment and check-in. And then when she came out, she was on hospice. And 3 weeks later, she was gone. And she died in our living room in the hospital bed. And I was there waiting. And when I heard her last breath, that's when I knew. Thumbs up. But yes, I am fixated still on rice because, as stated, with all my increased smelling stuff, everything that I've done has been just low-key amazing. I mentioned yesterday how 2 parts of mildly seasoned rice vinegar to 1 part medium seasoned rice vinegar with soy sauce and Tabasco, minced garlic and powdered ginger, and then when it really starts to bubble, adding the heavy duty particled stuff like the crushed leaves of sweet basil and the chunks of all sorts of bits on the crushed rosemary and the crushed thyme, and all of that bubbles in. And when you smell the vinegar, whether it's the medium or the mild, it smells like vinegar. It ain't great. But when you heat it up, it is incredibly delicious. It tastes and smells nothing like vinegar, but it tastes like rice vinegar. And it's so good. And so far, each thing I've added has added to it. And I've been, I think, lucky so far. One thing, I don't know if I have it here, I don't appear to. One thing I have bought, and I'm going to be very, very careful with it because it can be heavy, is I bought some dill. And dill is what, they used to make dill pickles. And boy, I've been watching just and thinking about how much I don't use this part of my mouth anymore. And this is really, really recent. But, so I'm trying to do this. But I got dill. And I'm going to add dill because I don't want it to taste like dill pickles. But a little bit of dill could work some magic. So I'm going to try that. And yeah, my rice journey has still just begun. Especially since I want to get that slow cooker and start doing things like potatoes and carrots in it so that I can eat them with these. And what do I have over there now? Ah, yes. I do have an echocardiogram scheduled for my heart. I have to wait for the clinic to call me. I went to the hospital to talk to them, and a very frustrating thing happened. I'll talk about that tomorrow because otherwise I'll just be too frustrated. But let me check continuing. I am gluten intolerant, and I can't remember if I talked about this. On the day or the next day of my eating 2 hot dog buns with chili and stuff, I had the cardiac pain. The next day, I continued eating hot dog buns, 2 per day until they were done. I had cardiac flippity floppities each day I was eating gluten. When I stopped eating gluten, my heart hippity hoppities went from this to and now I'm at nothing. My heart is perfectly fine. I don't feel anything weird, nothing cardiac, nothing thoracic. As stated, I still have an echocardiogram scheduled. I do have doctor's appointments. I'm going to talk to him about my heart. I have had EKG, the one where they check your heart stuff. I don't have anything big, but they said I have bradycardia. Now, I used to have a sky-high pulse before I started walking. I was about 100 and sometimes more, especially back when I was drinking, brought it back down to about 100 while I was married. My pulse went down into the 50s since I started walking. And my pulse is usually in the high 50s or low 60s. Sometimes even when I'm out walking. So, is it exercise related? I'm trying to use this side consciously instead of just letting it hang like that and talking with this side. This is another thing I should talk about with my doctor, because this is more than annoying, possibly. Yay. Thing is, like I said, I can consciously do it. It's just if I'm not thinking about it, then I start to talk with this side. Yay. Anyway, though. So yes, my heart has been feeling fine, but I do have appointments with doctors. I am going to talk with them about it. I do have that echocardiogram, which is where they look at your heart. So, it is an issue. I am getting older. Could be an issue. There may be something wrong. There might not. Probably not, but you never know. That's why I'm having tests done. So, Neil, I do hope to push through the executive dysfunction and get some recording done. More than just, which I still need to finish, more than just the Fallout New Vegas stuff, but more to I want to get the Demons and Dungeoneers stuff done. I want to get that solo RPG stuff done, because after all, I've got my character and I figured out various things, like in it, the human race, they'd be the Goya, many Goya, one Goy. But they are coming up from the southern continent. Not all of them, it's not mass migration, but they're the people that, hey, we like our homeland, but we've heard that it's kind of cooler, and yet it's like this, so we're going to move up this way, and so there's like that. And up here, the Dwarlin, the race that a lot of other races branched off from, what we would call elves, the Dwarlin, some of them are migrating downward as well. So far, no kingdoms and governments are trying to stop this. Everything has been good. Because of this, the main character, the one that I'm going to be doing, 19 years old, grew up as one of the Goya up around in the Dwarlin continent. So there is more Dwarlin than Goya. So he's not a bigot or anything like that about anyone, but it's still more civilized. And he feels that call for adventure. He's a thrill seeker, an adrenaline junkie, if you will. And so takes the boat ride across the ocean with others over to the other continent. Now, I still can't think of perfectly what the name of they're not goblins, but what their races would be. I think it was something like Hutal. And then you'd have like for the goblins would be like the Api Hutal, just short the Hutal. And then there's up above them the equivalent of humans in that the Hob Hutal. And then the Orc Hutal, you know, and up like that. And so they've all got their names, their cultures, and they're not against the people coming over because everything is peaceful. No one is, it's not a true colonializing, imperializing thing. Nobody's doing war. There's just trade and people coming over. Also, those of the Hutal are moving over in this direction because they like it over there as well. They hear stories, there's merchants, so there is movement, there is trade, and my character, one of the Goya, is given a shack and given, you know, you've got that shack for a month. You're expected to make your way here, and then here's some equipment, here's a little bit of gold, boom. And yeah, they give away money. But these are people that are going to be adding to the economy just by living there in the whole village area. Giving them a little bit of money is going to give so much more back. So they're not worried. And so that's what my character starts off as. Yeah, get a job. You know, if you're young, 19 years old, and you're willing to use your muscles, you could go out farming. If you're willing to take a risk, you could be a guard. If you want some adventure, there's other teams that are, well, they need people to go places that are dangerous. Those Oracle cards that I got from the Grey Goblin Games cards that I got have one of the things on the list that you just randomly pick and choose from is quest types. So you can just go, oh, give. You got to go somewhere and give this thing to someone. That could be as a guard of an expedition going somewhere, or as you're just given something and you go somewhere. So yeah, it's rather open world, and that's good. So thumbs up on that. Those are the plans. That's what I want to get done using the Scarlet Hero rules, largely just the mechanics of it, not the setting. Use monsters and other things from other OSR settings, and then go from there. Thumbs up for that. What else do I have up here? First, this one. This was, I had another one of those, oh, this is great things at the, when I went in for the test on the muscles of the nerves. That's what I mean. Last week I had a nerve conductivity test. There we are. And I was getting like half the actual physical sensation that I get on this side. It's still in the normal range, but you know, normal is a probability curve, and I'm not anywhere up at the top. I'm toward one of the ends now, still in the normal range, but getting closer to leaving that on the ends. Another thing that really rubbed this all in last night, I was carrying a 2-pound container of something and a 1-pound container of something. The 2-pound container in this hand felt exactly the same as a 1-pound container in this hand. And that was messing with my head because it felt like only 1 pound in my hand, but physics was acting like it's 2 pounds. And there was that big disconnect because my hand and arm are expecting to swing, and it ain't swinging because I got twice as much weight there as my arm is reporting to my brain. I'm still in the normal range, but I'm out on the edges of the normal range. Yay. The only real thing I'm going to go with here is I talked about this kind of before with software and how gadgets and stuff right in our age of 2024 can feel sluggish. Now, if they're the only things that you've known, you may not notice that, but the feel in many cases of the things today when they don't act fast is the feel that stuff had like 20 years ago, because the hardware was slow. You really had to write your software, just pare it to the bone so that it was only what was needed so that it would run on the hardware. But everything feels the same now because the hardware got better. And so the limitations that you had to have went away. And so the coding gets sloppier because the hardware picks it up. And it just feels slower because it doesn't have to be optimized. Which ties into taking a look at older consoles and the consoles we have today. Limitations create magic. The PS5 and the Xbox Series are largely just computers in a box. They don't do anything really different from each other and different from a PC, except they're limited because you can't really upgrade the hardware. But past that, there's not really a big difference. There's no great limitation. There's huge amounts of RAM. There's huge amounts of storage, and the speeds are huge. A lot of the games that you see for the older hardware, like the PlayStation and all, PlayStation 1, yeah, they are primitive looking today. But they made those pieces of hardware and all that software do magic. They made the hardware do stuff that amazed the engineers that made this stuff, just by wrenching every last nugget out of that software. When the Crash Bandicoot game was made, they figured they were going to be destroying the PlayStations because of all of the streaming off of the drive. The hardware engineers said it's going to die 2 weeks. It's not designed to do that. You'll kill the drive. They did it. It didn't kill the drive. They forced the hardware and the software to do things that they weren't designed to do. They squeezed every last piece of magic out of those that they could because they had to. And the results were magic. And there are none of those real limitations today. The PlayStation 5 is the same as a Xbox Series S, is the same as a gaming laptop. Only the hardware is a little different, and the hardware doesn't provide any real limitation anymore. Yay. So who knows? Old man yelling at cloud. Thank you for letting me ramble and rant, especially about this here that bothers me. Another day I'm going to talk more about my setting of the inside-outside razor's edge, because there was a whole bunch I was thinking about and there's stuff I got written down over there. But for every one of my patrons, thumbs up and thank you if you have watched this far along with everybody else. But without your help, I would be hurting. It is appreciated. I would put your names up here if I could do more than just wave my arms around with limitations on speed and velocity. Speed and velocity. I can talk English, can't I? Yeah, I can't type, but I can do this sort of thing for periods. So, without your help, I'd be in an awful state, but with your help, I'm doing better. So when you look in the mirror, you're beautiful and awesome. Thumbs up and thank you. For everybody that leaves me a comment in the comments, where else would you leave it? Leaves me comments, thumbs up and thank you. It is appreciated. I read each and every one of them. I answer as many as I physically can, and I do thumbs up and heart as many as I can if for whatever reason the thumbs upping doesn't work, and sometimes it doesn't, so yay on that. But still, before this runs too long again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. And of course, if you have watched this far, if you could say value read in the comments to let the algorithm know that people watch the videos, and of course to let me know that you watched this far as well. Thumbs up and thank you. It's a fun game.